moving gently from leg to leg. This is really just to establish the sinking, the most important thing really in Tai Chi. Sinking connects you to the ground. If you can maintain the sinking as you're moving around, the work in the legs can be translated into energy in the upper body. Keep the roundness in the legs. So there's this sense of pulling. And just allow turning to sort of gradually creep in. So you'll tend to turn towards the foot you're going into. It's natural to turn towards the direction you're going. The image I find useful is the tube of toothpaste. Imagine a tube of toothpaste. You grab it and you squeeze it, and toothpaste comes out at the end. So your whole body is like the tube of toothpaste, the tube containing the toothpaste. So my weight is here. So what I want to do is effectively squeeze that tube to get the toothpaste, which is the energy, coming out. So I'm squeezing with this leg. I'm trying to straighten this leg, but not enough to make my body move. Just enough to get something squeezing through my body. And then I can allow it to move. So I really have to delay the movement of the body. So I'm settled in this leg. This leg starts pushing. We call it squeezing because it is very much like squeezing the tube of toothpaste. If I want the toothpaste to come out at the end of the tube, I have to be very gentle with my squeezing because if I'm too strong, a big whole load will come out and I'll waste it. So you do the gentlest of squeezes to get just enough toothpaste coming out for your toothbrush. So the same thing here, I'm sinking. I want to feel this dynamic sinking, like a flow down through me of gravity. And then I just squeeze against that just enough to get something oozing through my body into my arm, but also into this leg. And then it's like that is like the tentacle then that catches and draws me across. So it's not even as though I push sufficient to get the force here moving my body. It's more that I just squeeze enough just to get this tentacle or this toothpaste coming out, and then that catches and draws me. So here, this is like an intensity. It's like something inside is getting stronger and stronger. And then once I've caught hold with the end of that tentacle, it's like almost like a deflation. It's like, oh, and I'm drawn across. So this is getting more and more intense to get the stuff coming out. And then once I've got enough toothpaste to actually get down into this foot, then it's just a matter of just sort of relaxing and deflating that tentacle, and I'll get drawn along. You're much more intense when you're not moving than when you are moving, because here I really have to extend the energy. And if I start moving, then that will just all dribble away. So I stay in this leg. I'm driving myself down into this leg, but at the same time, I'm squeezing with the leg to drive something up through me. And then to actually make myself move, I just relax. And I will move into the foot. So you can think of the octopus extending its tentacle, or you can think of the monkey swinging through the trees. It's extending its arm, reaching that branch, and then once it reaches this branch here, it can just let go with the other arm and just swing. Gravity will just swing it forwards. So it's the same thing here. Something has come up and out, and then here, I just relax, and it will drop. The important thing is this build-up of energy sufficient to escape from this leg and come into this side of my body. And that requires an act of spirit. So my eyes flare with interest. Inside, it's like my heart is going to burst. There's a sense of coming up inside into this expanding heart, which is one reason why you really need to stay down in the leg, because you don't want to get top heavy. The way I used to work on this with my students was they would get into a position like this where their weight is in one leg, and I would just stand here and drive them, push them here so that they can't basically come out of that leg because I'm pushing so strong. And then they need to really push hard to actually get any movement here. And what's interesting about it is if they're simply using force to go against my force, then it just becomes like this sort of squabble, like this sort of unpleasant struggle. But if as they're feeling this drive through their body, if they can just somehow just relax and allow that to come through, then the energy that comes back is energy, it's not force. So there's a sense here that you're sinking into this leg. Something in me just has to expand and I will come round. So I'm sinking into this leg, I'm sinking. And something in me just sort of lets go, and then the energy, the force of the other person becomes energy which flows through the body into the ground. And that somehow just allows a gush the other way, like a wave rolling over the person and just taking them. And it was really quite striking, I remember. Haven't done it for a while. I would be pushing like this on their hip. And now if they tried to use force, if they just pushed against my push, then what I would feel it as is something driving like this. It's pushing my hands back. But if they could just relax and get the energy to flow through, then it really felt like this. I was moving backwards from here, almost like someone had grabbed hold of this part of me and pulled me back like this. And so it's quite striking when energy actually manifests. It's so different from force. Okay, now let's just figure of eight. Just forget all that now and just get this turning. So trying to sort of keep your spine in the middle and just using the turn. So I turn this way and I turn this way. And just allow it to become like a sort of version of waving hands in the clouds, really. So here I turn, I open up to this side. This backhand here just swings on top as I turn back. So stay in this leg until you've really opened up, and then the closing brings you into this leg. So it becomes something very similar to what we've just been doing. It's really in Tai Chi, everything's the same. It's just one sort of opening, closing action with hundreds of variations. So here I keep my ground. I offer an embrace. The person moves towards me and I move towards them at the same time. I don't want to move towards them too soon. I wait for them to accept my invitation. And then we can come together. And open the mouth as well. So as you open your hands, it's like, wow. It's almost like you're trying to swallow someone. You're opening your mouth and just swallowing that space. Feel the muscles in the lower back really becoming strong. So there's this sense of leaning back here. The whole spine is arching backwards. And then the yielding is really just coming from the belly tightening to bring yourself into the bowed spine. Here I'm really expressing something in my thymus. It's really lifting. And then here it sucks in and drops down to bring the other person in. Here, when I bring the heart up, I have to really be careful that I don't let the body come up. So that's the sinking. Arching my back to bring my heart up also extends my root down into the ground. So I don't want my legs to push up into the heart. The energy comes up from the ground into the heart. So it's not forceful, always energetic if you can. Feel as though you're so full of heart, you can reach every corner of the room, but especially these two corners here. So you're really extending beyond your boundaries as you open, and then really bringing all of that in to this really small space in the Danshen as you yield and close down. Just a narrower step now, just the normal. So as slowly and as carefully as you like. And then just going into the second one. The points to concentrate on here. This hand is trying to get under this foot. This knee, I don't want it to collapse in like this. There's a moment when this leg is completely straight. The heel is driving me even more into this leg. And this hand John used to just get it to come higher up to the heart here. And the back hand trying to reach the back heart. And if you want to lean forwards a little bit, then I think that's fine. So here, if you really wanted to use this leg to get yourself into this leg, then you just lean forwards a little bit. You'd sink. So I'd really sink here. So like in lifting hands. There's something about the vertical spine that I don't think is right. it becomes a little bit aloof. You lose the ground. And so here, I just want to get really down under this foot. And if that means that I'm going to do this, then so be it. Look at those pictures of young Cheng Fu. So when he was young, he was really leaning forward. So his lifting hands was like this. But as he got older and older, his posture became more and more vertical. And I think that should be the way of it. To start with, you're young and vital and you're going for power and strength, and really getting down into the legs, leaning forwards aggressively into your postures. And gradually, as you mellow with age, and once you've made that connection with the ground, then you can straighten up. But even at his straightest, Yang Cheng Fu was still leaning forwards. Let's just try just a little bit of those circuits that we did last time. Reaching up to the heavens and then just bringing this energy down, taking it down, and then reaching out and up and down. And really, it's just an exercise to get into the legs. So here I'm trying to really get into my legs, bend my legs. And then here, I want this action of the arms coming out, not to be powered by my legs straightening, but to be powered by my back rearing up from bent legs. So it's actually really difficult. So here, and now let's try the other one. The other one was going down and scooping up the middle of the body. Imagine I'm going under my feet, under the ground, and then just lifting something up here. And then just taking it up through the body and down. Really opening here, so pushing the hands out. If you have the wrists bent a little bit, it's easier to sort of push them out. bit like doing squats with a bar. When you come up with a squat, you really have to fire with your back before your legs. Otherwise, pushing up with the legs, the bar will just fall forwards and you'll hurt yourself. So it's my back that controls the bar, and it's my legs that supply the power. Bring it into riding horse. So what we'll do now is just put those two together. So first of all, just riding horse. So let's just get this. So basically the figure of 8. It's like I'm coming into the heel here and then around the outside edge. So I'm producing this container, this cylinder with an open front. So I get the feeling very much that I'm at the back of the cylinder, creating space to contain the other. So this is yielding. I'm withdrawing myself to create space for the other. So that's ward off, really. That's riding horse, or hugging the tree version of riding horse. Okay, so if I was going to attack then from this position, I would simply come forwards into the front of the foot and arch my back to get my heart thrusting up and out. And that would be simply the elbows dropping. So here I'm going into the heels. This is rounding out. And then here I just come forwards into the front of the foot more and just strengthen here to get a sense of something rising here and really pushing the hands out and getting the palms vertical. Ward off, and then just elbows drop as I come forwards. And then again, 1, 2. This takes me into the heels. My toes are having to push down. So it may feel that you're in your toes, but you're not. Your toes are just working to keep you in the heel, really. And then here you attack. 1, 2. And that really brings you almost out of the heel, almost like you're just coming onto the front of the foot. And then yielding again, going into the heel, around the foot, heel, around the foot, toes pushing down, and then push and push. And I just want the feeling that this isn't just an instrument that I use to get my own way. This is where it's all happening. I want this to be in control of me, in charge of me. So when I push, something sort of lets go or collapses, and suddenly you're just in the legs in a way you're not normally. And this is just firing out, and you're really fired up. Okay, so that's the opposite of yielding base. Yielding is very sort of considered. So here I'm creating this considered space. And then I just, something in me just sinks and opens up, and I just get down a level, and suddenly this comes out. So every time we finish a posture in Tai Chi, well, not all the time, like ward off is more sort of containing. like the push postures, the punch postures, the slap postures. They've all got this feeling of the upper heart, the thymus, just leaping out into the other person. And now let's just try putting those two circuits together. So you can do this as gently or as vigorously as you like. The first one we did was just bringing down like this and just making a circuit of it. So this is a really classical Qigong exercise. And then the other one was just bringing it up. And so making a circuit like this, just going the other way. So basically where we have two circular circuits going in opposite directions, we basically have a figure of 8. And that's what we can do here. So I can do the first one, reach up, bring it down, and then I can do the second one, reach down, bring it up, and then the first one again. So the bottom of the figure of 8 is connecting me to the ground, and the top of the figure of 8, the top circle of the figure of 8 is connecting me to the heavens. And the struggle is to get the bottom one strong. We tend to truncate the bottom circle of the figure of 8 because we don't like yielding really, and we don't like getting down. So really feel that you've got into the ground here. It's much better if you do these exercises outside. If you've got real grass and soil, real earth under your feet, then it's much easier to feel the same. This is much easier to feel if you've got a blue sky above you. So one hand on the belly, one hand on the sacrum. So the back of the hand on the sacrum, unless you're really flexible with the arm. Okay, let's try a little bit sitting down. Breathing in keeping the arms straight, breathing out. So all the way through, the arms are straight. Breathing in, and then feel how these upward movements are affecting the heart. So as I bring my hands up, my heart lifts. As I bring my hands in, the heart can drop a little, the spine bows a bit. But then here again, this lifts the heart. So feeling that the movement of your arms is moving the heart. Heart comes up a little, heart drops a little and comes inside. Heart rises a little, trying to almost burst out of your upper chest. And then it subsides a little, but it doesn't really come in. So there, the movement of my arms is moving my heart. So what I'd also like is to be able to move my heart to get the arms to move. So just feel this point here and just lift it. The heart lifts and the arms come up. The heart comes in. It's like it sort of shrinks a little like this. And that brings your hands in. And then again, your heart really lifts. And then the arms can just come down. And the heart is just lifted now. So now again, so the heart lifts, the arms come up, and then the heart sort of sucks in and drops a little. Bring the arms in. And then again, the heart lifts and down. And now let's just try just a little bit of the heart qigong. Feeling that my arms are controlled by my heart. So they're normally very much controlled by the head. My heart goes out and that just lifts my arms. And then my heart sucks in, my arms follow. And then again, my heart goes out and the arms follow. So it's difficult, this, because our hearts are non-existent almost. So I really have to try here. So this is real thymus, this sort of spirited, proud, unafraid upper heart that's just bursting to come out. And this time just keep the arms out to the side as they come down, and we'll just do a few twists. Carefully does it. I want to feel my spine all the way from the sacrum up to where the lumbar and the thoracic spines join up. Just want to feel it just really strong and feel the muscles wrapped around it. I want those muscles to be really toned up, tight, so that the spine there cannot collapse. And then hands up and down. Fists or hands on the seat, either side of you, or if the chair's not quite wide enough, just behind your buttocks. And then just straighten the arms and lift yourself up. Feel the sacrum heavy, sort of hanging, so your spine is getting a little bit of a stretch. And then just settle back down. And now just grasp the chair from underneath with your fingers and just pull upwards with the hands. So you're really pulling yourself down into the chair. Feel that really coming up into the heart. So this is like driving your sitting bones into the chair to get this sense of power growing up the spine into the thymus and into the very top of the head. And then let's just try that again. So just pushing down on the chair. And then down. And then again, just pulling the chair. So all we're going to do now is just move from leg to leg, but with a sense that it's my hands that are responsible for the movement. My legs are obviously responsible for holding me up, but my arms are moving me. So I'm sort of pushing the chair this way to get my body to move this way. And then I push the chair this way to get my body to move the other way. So if the chair's quite light or the floor is slippery, then you need to press down at the same time. Otherwise, it's going to slip and slide. And just feel the quality of the movement. pushing here this way. And then I pull here with this hand. I push with this hand that direction. Now just going up and down, so maybe slightly narrower. So now what I want to do is drive myself down towards the ground by like trying to lift the chair. So this chair is pretty light, so I have to use a bit of imagination. So I'm just holding the chair or just touching it and trying to lift it. And instead of that chair coming off the ground, I get drawn down into the legs. And then I just bring my hands on top and just press down with my hands to get my body to move upwards. So I'm using my hands to move my body. So I use this exercise with my students because it's a way of feeling energy. If I can press down enough to get energy flowing, but not my body moving quite, then I just feel it. I feel it as like something rising up through my body. And then I can just choose to go with that. I could just choose to ignore it because no amount of strength here is going to lift my own body. I'm not that strong. So here I just pull the chair up to get this feeling of a flow going down through me. And then I just allow my body to go with that. So you have to just keep the pressure on until the energy is flowing, and then you allow yourself to move with it. So when I teach this, unfortunately, is all I'm confronted by are blank, stupid faces. So what I want to do is turn. I want my body to turn, but again, from using my hands. Put the right hand on top of the chair and then push the chair in that direction, but not enough so that the chair moves. And just allow this hip to be pushed around to this side. So if you're pushing with the right hand, it will turn you to the right. And then with the same hand, just grab here and pull the chair towards you. And that will draw that hip towards it. So my right hand controls my right hip. So a prerequisite really for all of these exercises is a quiet mind, a mind that's just quiet enough to just be able to really watch and listen to what's happening, and an interest in energy. Feel how delicate this is, getting the turn. I just barely need like little finger pressure here, and that will start me moving. So this is the thing with the turning. It's very sensitive. So if you can get yourself unlocked from your surroundings and allow yourself to turn, then you become energized, sensitive, responsive to energy. Now let's try the other hand. So now I'm going to pull my left hip, and then I'm going to push. And you can do these with the other person as well. Someone can stand in for the chair really and just allow themselves just to be strong and firm so that you can use their body. And it's lovely because then they can really feel the energy and give you feedback. Put the chair back and we'll just do a bit of the form. Around this foot. I make a loop from my big toe around the inside, through the heel, and around the outside until I get to the big toe again. So I make a complete circuit, and that just takes me down into this big wide foot so that I can lift this foot with some stability. And then I put this toe down, and then again I'm doing a circuit around the foot until I get to the big toe. And then this one just happens again, and that brings the foot round. In all its detail, that's what's happening there. But, for the sake of the form, one just does that. But this is what's happening. So I'm going around the foot. So what we need is this ability to swing the hips. And we used to do this exercise because it's not just a matter of going down. I have to go around. And the bigger I can make that circle, the more stable I will be on the foot when I have to lift the other one. So something has to happen here. I need a sort of looseness because I need to direct my tail around this foot. So I'm going down and around, and then this foot comes up. And then again here, I go around here and then around here. So there's a hell of a lot of action here, this place where we normally have none. And now just imagine you're bringing the energy up the other person's body. So your arms are quite straight. And then our elbows start going down. But the elbows start going down because I start sinking. I start sinking, and that drags the elbows down and the hands as well. and now yielding. I need to reach for the other person. I'm attacking here. I'm bringing my thymus up. It's like, if you see someone coming, you're going to give them a hug. You see someone coming. You'd respond to them as soon as you see them. You wouldn't wait until you're touching them. So that there they are. And, hey, hello. And then they come in. So it's the same thing here. Something in me has to reach out to connect. And then once I'm touching the person here, then I can yield. I can draw them in. And again, just straightening this leg to drive yourself down this leg. Don't worry if it leans you forwards. Reach, yield, and then, like you're reaching again, a little bit higher up, their arm, step, and then this just swings up and cutting down. So every yield has to be preceded by, it's like an attack. It's not really, it's what we used to call an invite. You're inviting or you're entering. So I'm entering the other person's energy, which means that's coming from my heart. And then this is my heart receding and sucking the person in. And then I do the same thing again, really. So each yield is preceded by an attack, but each attack is preceded by a yield. So I don't just come out of this leg here. I have to sink into it in order to haul something up. And that's part of the attack. It's a bit like the sprinter powering out of the blocks. So he sinks back and presses his feet. So just Newton's third law of motion, really. I have to go that way in order to get power in this direction. If I want to yield the person in, I must first go out and meet them. And if I want to get energy out of my body and into them, I have to first go inside and find it, and then I can come out and cut down. And when you're in this final posture, you want the feeling, okay, it's ward off, it's sort of protective, but it's an attack. So this sense of like your heart's coming forwards, almost like your heart is trying to pop out over the top of this arm. And then here, open. This is like the entering. I open, the arms are tending to twist like this, which is the attacking spiral. So one. And then I yield, I draw them in, I make this hollow, and then I step, and now here, slicing. So again, I have to sink here, turn this direction before I turn the other direction. So sink and turn, and then this comes up to break the arm, and then I follow through, and this would strike here if you needed. This is actually one of the most interesting parts of the form, this little bit here. My left hand is yielding to their left hand. So in other words, it's got to get around this side of them. I'm turning this way in order to get around this side of them. But at the same time, my other hand is trying to get around the back of them as well. So that requires me to turn this way. So at that point here, I'm turning one way, but then the other. Hear this sense that my heart is trying to rear up and out and over the top of my press. And then I yield, so sinking back and then firing forwards. The only way you'll get it really in the heart is if you can just stay down, really sinking into the legs. You really have to force yourself into the legs. when you use the back here, because you'll want to come up. Pulling with my left hand, pushing their shoulder here, and now someone else coming in here. So I turn and I yield them, I bring them through. And you can think of this either striking with the elbow and then folding out the hook, or you can think of this person coming through, and as they're coming through here, just whap them with your hook. And now here I'm pulling and striking and sinking into that back foot, yielding here, and then coming forwards. If you wanted to be really aggressive, then your heart, your thymus, would be driving forwards. You know, once you get past a certain age, you're just not interested in fighting anymore, partly because you've lost it. And so you can see that slowly the heart would become more interested in lifting upwards towards the heavens. And that would tend to bring you into a more vertical back. So you can see that as you get older, as you mellow, as you become more spiritual, your spine will also become more vertical. Someone is striking with their left hand. You're just taking their arm, so this hand is on their elbow, this hand is on their wrist. Rather than creating circuits like this, which is what we normally do when we yield, we're creating like a circuit like this. So there's a sense of me going down like this, but there's also a feeling that I'm straightening my arms. So this is what John used to call yielding and attacking at the same time. So part of my body is yielding, which is here and here. So my chest is hollowing. I'm receding with my body, but at the same time, I'm leaning forwards, which is getting this squeezing action of the arms. So I'll try it. So this way. This leaning action has a function. It's not just trying to get closer to the ground. It's got this feeling that I'm drawing something in here and it can then fire out. So it's creating this circuit when I lean forwards. And that leaning can be minimal, but it's there. It's always there. So here. And then I just yield down here. I step in. And again, I strike with the shoulder, but this sense that my heart is trying to lift. Yielding. Rolling someone's fist up. And then this would just be a strike. You just power into that front foot slightly to get a little ripple, pulse of energy coming through the body into this hand. And then let's just try one more. So just reaching forwards. So this is, again, this is real entering. You just enter. You see that fist coming, you yield. This hand comes up on top of the person's arm. This happens a lot. You're drawing the person through here. If their energy is strong, if they're just a little bit too committed to their blow, then you just continue and just let them come through here and do something over here. But if they're punching and they feel you yielding and they try and withdraw, that's when the next bit comes in. I'm yielding here. They start to withdraw. So this hand here just comes on top of that withdrawing arm, sweeps it out of the way, and you come in with your strike. Sinking is not easy. So enter, yield. Person's coming through here. They start to withdraw. I follow, step, and push. And again here, this sense that my heart is almost bursting out of my chest. That requires me to really stay down here. Any sense of my bum sticking out like this, there's no heart. The form should be something that you know so well that you can just experiment with it. So every time you do it, it's different. You get out of this sense of following a template. It's in your body, it's been internalized, it's now part of you. And so when you do it, it's just expressing what you're interested in at the time, expressing how you are that day. And you're using it really just to find out what you are and how you are. Just to see what the day has to offer. For me, it's just really endlessly interesting because it doesn't matter how you're feeling. You can try your best to try and do work on what you were working on yesterday. But if something's trying to come out, it will. And you'll really surprise yourself. But it needs to be practiced sufficiently for you just to be able to play with it, for you just to let it go. And it's just there. And so energy can come out of it that you've never encountered before. It's like a miracle, really. Because it's only really then, you have these moments, you're doing the form and you think, oh, well, that's what he meant. Remembering your teacher. Because if you're doing what your teacher tells you, then it's never quite right. It has to come out of you. So the teacher tells you something, you still have to go away and find it out for yourself. So it's what I call inventing your own vocabulary.